there is a silence that only the soul can hear, a stillness that lives beyond breath, beyond body, beyond time. In that silence, something ancient stirs, a truth not spoken, but remembered. The manuscript, kept hidden for over 200 years, does not shout, it whispers, and its whisper is a map of what happens in the first 49 days after we die. We fear death not because it is dark, but because we have forgotten how to see in the dark. This manuscript, carved with symbols born of inner sight, reveals what unfolds not as an end, but as a continuum. These 49 days are not linear. They are vibrational echoes that ripple through dimensions, consciousness peeling from form like mist from morning. In the first moment after the final exhale, there is no panic. There is recognition. The soul, weightless and luminous, remembers what the body could not. It remembers itself. And with that remembrance comes the first gate, a passage not made of stone, but of frequency. We are drawn not by force, but by resonance to what matches our inner vibration. This is the law of the subtle realm. We go where we already are. This ancient text speaks of guides, silent presences that come in light or shadow, depending on what we carried with us. They are not judges, they are mirrors, and they help us face the first unveiling, seeing ourselves fully without distortion, without escape. Death is not a wall. It is a mirror that asks only one question. Did you remember who you are? These first days are a spiraling inward, into memory, into choice, into presence beyond the physical. We are not alone, and the journey has only just begun. Si estas palabras ya tocaron tu alma, suscríbete al canal y comparte en los comentarios. ¿Qué vibración sientes ahora dentro de ti? Ahora vamos continuar. The moment after death is not filled with chaos, it is filled with clarity. As the physical dissolves, what remains is not confusion, but coherence. The soul becomes aware of something profound. That intention was never just thought, it was architecture. In this luminous in-between, we begin to walk through the rooms we once built with every decision, every emotion, every silent belief we carried. The ancient manuscript reveals this phase as the chamber of echoes. Here, what we intended in life echoes back, not as punishment, but as experience. If love was our compass, we feel its warmth multiply. If fear shaped our path, its residue surfaces, not to harm, but to reveal. Nothing is hidden anymore. The soul cannot lie to itself. It is in this place that we first realize every thought mattered. Every feeling carved a frequency into the subtle body, and those frequencies now create the terrain we walk upon. Time does not exist here as we knew it, only vibration. And in this field of vibration, like attracts like, we are pulled by what we have become. But here lies a sacred opportunity. The manuscript speaks of a window, brief, golden, delicate. During these early days, the soul can reshape its field through deep recognition and surrender. By seeing the truth of its own patterns, the soul can choose again. Not from ego, but from pure awareness. This is not a punishment nor a reward. It is simply resonance. The universe does not judge, it reflects. We are shown not who we were, but who we believed ourselves to be. And it is in that recognition that liberation begins. If the soul remains present, if it listens, it begins to feel the pull toward the next gate, toward the realm of the remembered self. And so, the spiral deepens. As the soul crosses into the third phase, described in the manuscript as the flowing mirror, it is met with a current, not of water, but of memory. Here, moments long forgotten return, not as scenes, but as sensations. A childhood glance, a breath held in sorrow, the stillness of a forest at dawn. Each memory pulses with emotional truth, stripped of narrative, pure in vibration. This is not nostalgia, it is purification. The soul begins to understand that memory is not stored in the brain, it is woven into the subtle body. Each experience, especially those unlived fully, leaves an imprint. The manuscript says these imprints form what the ancients called the threaded field, a lattice of energy that both anchors and limits the soul's post-death movement. In this river, the unloved, unspoken, and unseen rise like petals to the surface, not to punish but to be witnessed. It is here that we feel what we could not bear to feel while alive. The tears never cried, the forgiveness withheld, the beauty ignored. And through this witnessing, something extraordinary occurs. The field begins to loosen. The soul grows lighter. Many resist this stage. They wish to move forward without looking back. But the manuscript warns, what is unfelt cannot be released. The river must be crossed in stillness, not haste. And in doing so, we begin to unbind ourselves. Some will meet ancestors here, figures that once walked beside them, but they appear not as bodies, rather as essences, emissaries of grace. They come not to speak, but to radiate remembrance. A reminder that we are not alone and never were. As the river flows, the soul prepares to pass through its deepest gateway yet, the encounter with pure awareness, beyond memory, beyond self, and the silence deepens. There comes a moment in the 49-day journey where even memory dissolves. The manuscript calls this the gaze without a face. It is not a place, it is a presence. A vast field of awareness, impersonal yet intimately familiar. Here the soul no longer perceives through identity, but through essence. Imagine standing before a mirror that reflects not your form, but your being. Not your story, but your truth. This is that mirror. In its gaze there is no hiding, no embellishment, no fragmentation. You see yourself as pure vibration, what you have cultivated, what you have denied, what you have become. But there is no judgment. The gaze does not punish. It illuminates. It reveals the architecture of your inner world with such clarity that the ego, if still clinging, begins to unravel. The manuscript describes this moment as the soft collapse, a melting of false layers, a disrobing of masks worn for lifetimes. Some souls tremble here, not because they are being judged, but because they are being fully seen for the first time. To be fully seen, even by love, is terrifying to the constructed self, but to the soul, it is liberation. This is the threshold of transcendence. Not the end of the journey, but its turning point. If the soul surrenders to this gaze, if it allows itself to be nothing but presence, something rare unfolds. Integration. The fragmented aspects begin to rejoin, shadows dissolve into the whole. The soul becomes round again, complete. Many texts speak of light, of tunnels, of divine figures. But this manuscript reminds us, the true light is not outside. It is this awareness. It is what we are beneath every form, every lifetime, every belief. And so, the soul passes through, not toward a place, but into a state of being unbound. Beyond the gaze, the soul enters a luminous stillness, not empty but spacious, not silent, but vibrating with potential. This is the realm of choice, a domain that the manuscript describes as the pivot between incarnations. Here the soul is offered no commands, no orders, only questions, and the most sacred of them all is whispered, not spoken. Do you wish to return? But this question cannot be answered with words. It must be felt with the entirety of one's field. In this realm, multiple paths shimmer in possibility. Each one is a resonance, a potential lifetime, a frequency yet to be embodied. Some are dense, others subtle. The soul sees not a script, but an energetic invitation, each life calling forth a specific lesson, a refinement, a contribution to the cosmic dance. Here, free will returns in its purest form, not as reaction, but as aligned creation. And yet, some souls do not choose to return. They remain in this space not as escape, but as service. According to the manuscript, these beings become whisperers, guides, not with names or faces, but with presence. They dwell in the spaces between thoughts, in dreams, in intuitive knowing. Perhaps you have felt them, soft nudges in moments of silence. They are not gone. They have simply chosen differently. For those who do return, the choice is sacred. The soul selects the energetic framework, the potential of a body, a family, a location, each woven to match the unresolved threads still vibrating within. Karma is not debt. It is continuity. And choice is the loom. But the manuscript offers a mystery. Some souls do not choose based on unresolved patterns. They choose based on offering. These are the rare ones, the volunteers. They return not because they must, but because they remember that love is a movement. And in this realm, love moves everything. When the soul chooses to return, the next stage begins. Not birth, but design. The manuscript names this phase the weaving hall, a realm where vibration forms structure, where intention takes on pattern. It is not a place seen with eyes, but with awareness. Here the soul collaborates with forces ancient and subtle, what some traditions have called devas, architects of frequency. These are not beings in the human sense. They are intelligences of pattern, guardians of alignment. Their role is not to dictate, but to echo, to assist in shaping a life that mirrors the soul's chosen frequency. Their body is not random. A name, a lineage, a moment in time, all are stitched with purpose. The soul participates. It offers its blueprint, its unresolved lessons, its deepest offerings, its silent intentions. And from these a new path is composed. But unlike human planning, this design is vibrational. It carries possibilities, not certainties. The life to come will be shaped moment by moment by the consciousness that lives it. In this weaving, agreements are made. The manuscript describes these not as contracts, but as harmonies. Other souls may enter this field, future parents, siblings, teachers, even those who may one day bring pain, each one drawn by shared resonance, by the unseen choreography of awakening. Sometimes the soul requests challenges, not as punishment but as acceleration. It knows that through certain frictions, deep layers can be revealed and transmuted. This is not masochism, it is mastery. But the most sacred thread of all is the seed of forgetfulness. To return fully conscious would make the journey too easy, too scripted. So the veil is placed gently, lovingly. The forgetting is a gift, because only through rediscovery does wisdom become real. And with the design complete, the soul prepares to descend, not downward, but inward, toward the spiral of rebirth. To descend is not to fall, it is to condense. The soul, once vast and unbound, begins to gather itself into form. The manuscript calls this the narrowing path, the passage through which infinity bends into a single point of identity. It is a journey of contraction, necessary and sacred. Here, the soul is not diminished, but focused. The first layer is vibration. The soul begins to adapt to the density of the material world, entering the subtle bodies in preparation for embodiment. It wraps itself in sheaths of energy, etheric, emotional, mental, each a veil of forgetting, each a lens through which the coming life will be perceived. As the descent continues, time re-emerges, not as a linear flow, but as a framework. The soul feels the pull of chronology, the rhythm of seasons, the heartbeat of earth. It remembers cycles, tides, the breath of matter. And within this pulse it finds its portal, the moment of conception. The manuscript describes this as the flame crossing, when the soul's field touches the embryonic spark. It is not an instant possession, it is a dance. In the early weeks, the soul hovers, observing, adjusting, weaving itself slowly into the growing form. But something else happens here, something profound. The soul begins to forget. Each layer of embodiment thickens the veil. The memories of the other side dim, not by force, but by necessity. To live fully, the soul must believe in the illusion of separation, at least for a while. This forgetting is the womb of awakening. It is the silence before the song. Some souls cry in this passage, not out of fear, but reverence. They know the challenge ahead. They know they will forget love, truth, origin, but they also know they will find it again because the seed remembers the sun. And then it happens. The breath, that first inhale of air, thick with gravity, sound, and light. The manuscript calls this moment the shattering, not as tragedy, but as transformation. The soul, now tethered to flesh, opens its eyes into density. It cries not in despair, but in shock. The light it once knew is now filtered. The vastness it once inhabited is now held within ribs, bones, and skin. With that breath, the veil becomes complete. The forgetting settles fully. The soul no longer remembers the 49 days. It does not recall the weaving, the choices, the flowing river. All that remains is sensation, raw, new, overwhelming. This is the amnesia of incarnation, sacred, necessary, designed. But within the heart of every newborn, something remains untouched. A spark, a silence. The manuscript calls it the inner flame. It does not speak in words, nor rise in thought. It waits, patiently, for the right moment, for the first gaze into the sky, the first touch of another's hand, the first question asked in wonder, "Who am I?" From that moment on, the journey continues, but now it is lived forward, in time, in form, with all the joys and sorrows that flesh invites. The soul will search, it will stumble, it will learn, it will forget again, and remember again. And in that remembering, it will begin to awaken. The manuscript does not promise ease, it does not guarantee enlightenment, but it offers this: every soul carries the map within. The 49 days are not lost, they are embedded in the layers of being, waiting to be unlocked through presence, silence, and love. This life you now live, it is not your first, nor your last, but it is sacred. Entire universes were aligned to bring you here, and all of it began with a choice. The journey through the 49 days does not end in forgetting. It folds, gently, into the rhythm of life. The manuscript closes not with a final truth, but with a spiral, a symbol of continuity, remembrance, and return. This is the great secret whispered across lifetimes. Death and birth are not opposites, they are mirrors. To die is to awaken, to be born is to forget. And between them, these 49 days form a bridge, a luminous corridor of becoming. The soul, having passed through mirrors, rivers, and veils, re-enters the world shaped by choice, vibration, and love. But this return is not a reset, it is a continuation. Lessons not learned will reappear in new forms. Love not expressed will knock again, disguised as loss, longing, or silence. The field remembers. The universe is patient. The manuscript reminds us, you are already in this journey now. Each night as you sleep, you taste the death of identity. Each moment of stillness is a thinning of the veil. Every act of love is a return to the gaze of pure awareness. You do not need to die to remember. You only need to listen. Your life, in its quiet moments, will begin to echo these stages. The moments of sudden clarity, the pull toward purpose, the mysterious recognition in the eyes of strangers, all of it points back to the spiral. All of it calls you to wake up now, while still alive. And if you've come this far, reading, feeling, remembering, then perhaps this is not your first time with this knowledge. Perhaps it has only been sleeping within you, waiting for the right vibration to stir it awake. So let these 49 days live inside you, not as myth, but as map. Let them remind you that this life is not an accident. You are here because you chose. And you will return again and again until all is remembered, until only love remains. Even after the soul returns, even after the veil has thickened and the forgetting has taken hold, something subtle remains. A pulse, a presence, a space that cannot be touched by memory or time. The manuscript refers to this as the hidden chamber, a place within the living where the soul whispers back to itself. It exists between thoughts, between breaths, between heartbeats. You may have felt it already, in a moment of stillness, in a tear you couldn't explain, in a flash of intuition that seemed to come from nowhere. That was not nowhere. That was you, reaching through the veil from the other side. This chamber is not found by effort, but by surrender. The quieter you become, the louder it speaks. It does not answer questions, it dissolves them. It does not give direction, it reveals the compass within. To live with awareness of this space is to remember while still inside the forgetting. It is the rarest kind of awakening, the kind that grows not from escape, but from full presence in the human experience. Joy, pain, longing, beauty, all of it is sacred when held in this awareness. The manuscript ends with a single line, etched by hand, barely visible with age. You are the breath between worlds. Walk as if you remember. So let this final truth settle in you, not as knowledge, but as vibration. The spiral does not close, it expands. And every moment you live with awareness is another step toward wholeness. You are not just passing through life. You are carrying eternity within you.